Hey everyone, welcome back. You'll remember my most recent video, we shot the baseline. It wasn't very good. We said that we're going to use 175 as a score or as a baseline score, and we're going to see if we can improve on that. So the next step that I wanted to move to, so obviously we've done quite a few steps already. Firstly, we made sure that the rifle was consistent in terms of FPS. That's very important. We did pellet testing and we chose the JSB 844 as the pellet that's the most accurate out of this rifle with this barrel. And and then we've shot the baseline target. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the actual shooting technique, or the different holds that you use for Benchrest. So I'm going to bring you in a bit closer, but in a nutshell, there's probably about 3 common methods that people use, and I'm going to show you those 3, and then we're going to test all 3 and see which one comes out on top. So where I shoot, which is quite a common method that it's used, is basically you're going to pull the gun into your shoulder. You've got a bag in front, bag at the back. Some have a little bit of a stand in front, but many of them are using a bag in front. And then your left hand is actually cradling the rifle stock and just pulling it slightly back into your shoulder here, and then this gives you a nice stable shooting platform, and you're able to take your shot, and obviously hopefully you'll get a good shot off. So there's a couple of advantages of this. Is basically you're going to have a nice stable shooting platform, as well as you can have a bit of pressure in the back, which will remove a little bit of the recoil from the rifle, and most of your movement should be in a straight line. So definitely a couple of advantages of this shooting technique. One of the disadvantages of this shooting technique is you need to try to get this pressure that you're pulling back into your shoulder, you need to get that as consistent as possible, because if it's not consistent, it will affect your accuracy. Then you get the second method, which I don't think is very relevant for air rifles, but I think it's more designed for guys that's shooting big caliber rifles, and that is what they'll do: pull the gun in, and then this left hand basically goes and rests on top of the scope here. And the reason for this is to prevent muzzle flip. So the moment you've got a lot of muzzle flip in front, especially if you've got a very heavy cartridge that you're shooting, you'll get muzzle flip, and that's going to definitely affect your accuracy downrange. Any movement in the rifle whilst the pellet or whilst the bullet is still in the barrel will affect accuracy. So we want to try to minimize that movement. So by doing this, what you're doing is you're actually making the gun heavier, so you'll reduce the recoil, and in theory you should have a nice stable shooting platform, and you'll definitely be nice and stable this way, and you can stay on target, pull the trigger, and everything is going to go well. So this was the second method that I tested. And then the third method, which I also used, is basically what I think is probably the most common method for Benchrest shooting. Is going to put your rifle on the bag. So I like to rest my rifle right up against the bag with this trigger guard is right up against the bag, so then I know it's in a consistent position there. And then your second hand basically will lay flat on the table, the other hand also flat on the table. This gives you a nice stable shooting platform, and this second hand is basically going to squeeze this rifle bag at the back here, and this also moves it backwards and forwards, left and right. And then put your cheek on, and what I like about this method is that when you do it like this, you do almost not even you have to have a tight hold. You can have a very loose hold and you'll be able to pull the trigger. So that's a nice advantage, because this is something that's difficult to get consistent. Also, you do not need to put a lot of cheek pressure on in order to be able to fire the shot. What makes this a little bit challenging is that every time when you move the bags to your next position, everything needs to be bang on. Your reticle needs to basically rest exactly in the center each and every time, whereas the other two you can use your hand either in front or on top just to manipulate the gun a little bit to get it exactly where you want it. Whereas with this, your bags is doing all the work for you. You are doing the minimum amount of work. Alright, so which methods did I use when I did the baseline? I used the method that's commonly used here by us, and this is also the method of the guy that won the Benchrest competition by us this year. So basically pulling this back into my shoulder, and then we saw that the score that I got was 175. So that's the method I've been using for pellet testing, as well as for shooting that baseline score. And today I'm going to shoot another card using this method, as well as a card using the standard Benchrest, well, the most common Benchrest method, which is like this. And let's see how we come out. Alright, so using the scope hold down method, definitely scored 183, which is a little bit better than our initial or our baseline 175. So some improvement here just by changing the hold, which is promising, and I really like that there's some improvement. The conditions, however, on this day were a little bit better than when I shot the baseline group. So something we'll need to keep in mind going forward. Let's see how our standard Benchrest hold went. Next up, we shot a score with the method of using your left hand to hold the gun bag at the back, and this definitely went quite a lot better. So we ended up shooting a score of 194, which is a big improvement from 125. So definitely shows you that the different holds makes a big difference. And to top things off, this was absolutely the worst conditions. When I shot this, the wind was really running around about 25 kilometers per hour. So if we had a nice calm day, I definitely think we could have improved on these groups for this standard Benchrest method. But definitely this seems to be the method that we're going to use going forward. Alright, so definitely I think those results speak for themselves. Definitely the method we're going to be using going forward is standard method. You can have nice, very gentle on the trigger and on the handle, very little pressure from the cheek, and you can basically allow the rifle to be as steady as we possibly can. So we're going to definitely use that method going forward. You might ask, but Tyron, why did you use the other method? I think it's important for us to look at all the different methods, make sure that we're getting the best for this rifle. If we've got beginner shooters coming into the sport, they might just do whatever they see the other guys doing, and it might not necessarily be the best for them and their rifle. So for you as well, test out all three methods, see which one works the best for you with your rifle. Remember, each and every one of us has got some different features in our bodies, in the way we do things. So one method might work better for you than the other, but it's important that we show all the different tests that we're doing, all the different methods that we're using, so that ultimately you'll be able to get the best results for your setup. So till next time, guys, happy shooting, see you around.